Hey everybody, this is Lord Magicus, and this week we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to play Yorion Merfolk in Modern. So, M. Hayashi has actually posted a variant of Merfolk that he said he's been doing very well with, and it's 80 card Merfolk. You play Yorion in the sideboard, and apparently, yeah, it helps you grind out a lot of the longer matches, so I think this is an idea that's worth revisiting. I tried a version of this with Simic early on when the companion was spoiled, but haven't really looked at it since then. However, he's done a few things that I think are worth looking at, so I've changed up the list just a little bit to more suit the way that I like to play, but we'll talk about how this is. So, one of the innovations that he added Serum Powder. So he played 4 Serum Powder in his 80 card deck, and the idea is that Serum Powder is a free mulligan, alright? Start with this in your hand. If you don't like your 7, you just Serum Powder, exile the 7, draw a new 7. And this helps you mulligan to like a really good starting hand, and like ideally one with Ether Vial. So with 80 cards here and Serum Powder, we can actually we have Ether Vial hands way more frequently, and Ether Vial hands are usually our best hands, so definitely worth considering. I'm only going to play 3. I'm not sure that I agree that 4 is the correct number for this. Remember, we're moving up to 80 cards, so you have to keep things kind of proportional. So what a 4 of is like about equivalent to like a 5 of in this version, but Serum Powder I think is worth a little bit more than like Let's say that each one of these is worth like 1 copy, then we're basically moving from like a 4 of to a 7 of. So that's going to increase our chances of finding it by a lot. However, you don't really want to have multiple Serum Powders in your opening hand, so just kind of as a hedge against that, I'm going to shave 1. Maybe 2 is okay, but it's definitely something we should experiment with. I think the idea of using Serum Powder in order to have more of our best starting hands with Ether Vial is definitely an idea I can get behind, so we're going to play with Serum Powder. The other thing, Smuggler's Copter, very good. I think he plays 4. Like, he almost always plays with 4 in like his versions of the deck. I don't really want multiple Copters, but I'm very fine with having at least 1. So I'm going to play 3. I think this is good. This means that anytime you draw something like Serum Powder, you can use Copter to turn it into another card. And we also have Benthic Biomancer, which also covers that. Lets us turn the Serum Powder into an extra card, something that's, that does something other than add colorless mana. So, one thing we should note, though, because we're playing Yorion, it's a 5-drop in the sideboard, and Merfolk doesn't normally curve up to 5 mana. The Serum Powder can help with that sometimes. If you cast it for 3 mana, you can potentially, you could turn 4, have like 5 mana available now. We're probably not going to be playing Yorion until like turns 5 or 6 at the earliest, but the Serum Powder does help us, curve out better and into like the 4 drops for Master of Waves and the 5 drop for Yorion. So it's got some value in that, and that's another problem we had when we played Yorion the first time. Like a lot of times we'd get stuck at like 3-4 lands and we would never be able to cast it. So here we have the option of actually playing Serum Powder to help us curve all the way up to 5 mana. So we play a little bit more lands than we would normally to support this. Again, extra lands are something you can throw away to Copter or Biomancer. But we also get to play more utility lands here. So you see we have some copies of Fairy Conclave. We're playing all 4 of the Mutavaults. One thing that M. Hayashi did not do, and I think this is something that we really should be doing in this version of the list, playing with Glasspool Mimic. Glasspool is incredibly strong with Master of Waves, okay? It's also incredibly strong with Mara Regery. And the reason for this is, normally we want our Aether Vial to be stuck on 2, because most of their good Merfolk are actually on 2, so here we have like 16 Merfolk to put in on that. However, when you want to add Mara Regery to a deck, normally that's like the only 3-drop that you have in there. So if you ever tick Vial up to 3 to put a Regery in play, you're never using that Vial again, or at least you're unlikely to. Now, when you add Glasspool Mimic to the deck, well, Glasspool Mimic is sometimes a land, but it is something you can use Aether Vial to put into play. And it actually benefits greatly from being put into play off of Aether Vial, because then your opponent will not be able to kill off an important creature before you get the chance to copy it. on an empty board, say if you have like a Lord in play and you just cast a Glasspool Mimic, your opponent might Fatal Push it, and now all of a sudden your Glasspool doesn't have anything to copy. If you vial something in with, Ether, if you vial in the Mimic with Ether Vial, if they allow Ether Vial to resolve, then the Mimic is going to copy the Lord, and they won't have priority to Fatal Push it. So you will now end up with 2 Lords. Or if they do actually Fatal Push the Master, if you activate the Vial, you don't have to put the Glasspool in play. You can just say, no, I'm not going to put something in play, and then wait until you have another creature to put into play, and then you can try vialing and copying it again. So this has incredibly strong synergy with Vial, and together this gives you 8 3-drops. So now all of a sudden taking Vial up to 3 makes a lot more sense. And that's especially true, like, if you want to curve up to Master of Waves with your Ether Vial. Like, a lot of times we would do the trick of, on our upkeep, we'd activate Vial so that we could put in an extra 2 and then take it up to 3 while it's tapped and then take it up to 4 for this. Well, here we actually do have 3-drops to put into play with it now, so it lets us be a little bit more selective about how we want to tick Vial up and how we want to use it. Yeah, and it's more consistent now. So if we need to tick up to 4 for Master, chances are we're probably going to have something to put into play on 3, whereas previously, before Glasspool, we never really did. Or it was a lot more uncommon for us to be able to do that. So I like that feature of Glasspool, and I think that that's an important thing for this deck. Because Glasspool, it's like I said, it's land that helps us, curve out when we are drawing light on lands. But it's also land that helps us get up to 5 mana for Yorion, or it's a creature when we need it to be one of these, and like I said, copying Master of Waves is incredibly good, copying a Lord is incredibly good. It makes our Ether Vial have a lot more utility, so I think this is a card that should absolutely be in this kind of deck. I don't see any downside to it. I believe in his version of the deck he played 28 or 29 lands. Or I think he played 28. And yeah, and because we have Glasspools in here, we're functionally playing 30 lands, but we only have 25 actual lands and then 4 Glasspools, which is fine. He played a couple more Fairy Conclaves in his, and then some Castle Vantress, which I think Castle Vantress is totally fine. You could do that, but I have a suspicion that we're not going to have trouble finding things to do with our mana, that using Castle Vantress, like, you could definitely play 1 or 2 in this deck easily. I'm going to put Cavern in here for now, and, if it turns out that we don't need all, like, maybe we can trim a Cavern and like an island and put in 2 Castle Vantress. That's totally possible. I want to have like a high density of basic lands, so that we have more lands that cast stuff like Deprive, and more lands that come into play and tap. So that is my reasoning for this. Yeah, I mean, Ventress is fine. This also plays around Blood Moon a little bit better, so I think Blood Moon's on a little bit of a downtick right now. Gruul has been getting destroyed recently, so we might not have to worry about that as much. But I think we can try it like this and see. I don't know if that's... Maybe there's some value in having like 2 Vantresses in here. But I'm more looking at like what happens when we go up against like Uro and Omnath decks. I really want to have this extra Cavern of Souls here because I don't want Cryptic Command to be blowing me out. So normally where I might play like 2 in my usual like 60 card list, I definitely want like 3 in here to keep up the same density of caverns. But it's reasonable. We could maybe trim just stuff in some castles. I don't know. That's to be tested. But it's definitely strong for sure. So if you want to do that, that's totally fine, I think. Other than that, Spreading Seas, I've been fine with 2, but again, since we're at 80 cards, I think you need at least 3. I believe M. Hayashi had 4 in his list. And he also likes a lot of Brazen Borrowers in the main deck, which perfectly fine card there, but in order to play the Regeries in here, I had to trim a few things to make room for this. Yeah, so overall, I think this is a really interesting idea for a deck. Sideboard is just like, this is very similar to what he had, except his sideboard had the Borrowers were in the main, and I think he just played extra copies of Yorion to bring in against stuff like Jund, which I'm not sure if that's the way to go with this. It's definitely a very strong value card, but I think that maybe there could be a better use of that slot. I totally like the idea of having one, because you access this in the main deck. It's like the 8th or 9th card in your hand sometimes. So yeah, if you blank stuff like Silvergill or Spreading Seas, then it's like, you know, for every one of these in play, it's like an extra +1 card in your hand. Same kind of deal with Lurrus. You know, when you play Lurrus and you like bring back a Silvergill, it's like you had a 10 card starting hand, which is just insane. But Yorion's a lot the same way. However, I don't think we're going to get up to 5 like super frequently, or I guess we don't really want to have to go to the games that long, so that's why I'm playing like more Lords in my deck with the Reedry and the Glasspool than he had in his. I would like to end the game before this is necessary, but I love the idea of having this option for this ridiculously powerful end game, so I think this is fine. Just blinking like Master of Waves with it can also be pretty game winning too. You just reset it and get all the tokens back off it. Just absolutely will crush people. But other than that, like, yeah, Deprive, Relic, and Chalice, they're all stuff that we play normally, so just put those in the sideboard to supplement this. I think it'll be fine. So we're going to try this in the league and see how it does. It's definitely a very interesting take on it, and he says it's pretty good, so let's see how it works. So I will see you in just a second. Okay, here we are. We are on the Play versus Kindler. Let's make sure we click on Yorion and reveal it. You cannot keep this hand, so we have to mulligan. Let me get this. I think this hand is... it's playable. It's a little bit risky, but I think we're going to have to keep it. Yeah. What do I do with this? I guess I put Master of Waves in the bottom. So it's the thing we're least likely to cast, so. I guess I'm gonna lead with Mutavault. They might think we're like Death and Taxes. Because at least I'll be able to do something next turn. Ah, that's not good. That is really bad for us. Okay. I guess we have to play Benthic. So we're up against Amulet Titan, it looks like. And I know M. Hayashi said that Amulet was definitely one of the matches this had struggled a little bit against, so it's going to be rough. I mean, this is a match that Merfolk normally struggles against. We're not, like, completely dead, but they copied my Mutavault. That's interesting. Yeah, there's no way they're attacking. Well, that's good. So I guess I could attack with Benthic. I have to be very careful, because if I play this Lord of Atlantis, their Mutavault actually gets Island Walk. How much danger are we in here? I mean, I guess it's unlikely that this... I don't know. Like, the Afazuva copying this is actually pretty brutal. I could attack with the Mutavault and adapt it. I really think I need to put a Lord in play, though, because I don't know how else I'm going to win, but I don't have a good way of defeating this Mutavault. Alright, well, we're definitely doing that. This is not really a turn to hold up Trickster, I think. Alright, we'll see what happens here. I don't think they're going to block. I think they're just going to take 2. I mean, that's not great. That definitely means we're in trouble. Yeah, they have access to 6 mana now. I see, like, I didn't think that they would have Amulet this turn because they hadn't played it already, so. I don't know. Sometimes they're just gonna have it. The problem is we didn't put the Lord in play, then we had like no shot of actually defeating them. So they're gonna put a Titan in play, and now we're gonna be in a lot of trouble. Oh well, okay. Then I don't know if it even mattered that much because they had Azusa as well. Now things are gonna get absolutely insane here. Whatever. I have nothing here. You can just do what you want. We're getting crushed by this, and what is this, like turn 3? Our interaction for this match is not particularly great. And here comes Summoner's Pact. Yeah, no, you do what you want. Like, we are dead. This was a ridiculous turn 3. They had both Amulet and Azusa on turn 3. That's just nuts. Alright, you know what? I believe you. I know how this song and dance goes. We're not going to do this. Alright, so what do we want against them? Spreading Seas is terrible. They have they copied the Mutavault with Vesuva. Okay, that makes sense. So we want Deprive. This is not really a Master of Waves match. Could take in some Chalices to put on 0. Force is not particularly great either. I think that I'd rather have the Borrower. Alright, we'll do it like this. Like, you can force the pacts, but we're going to use the Chalice against it. The problem is Force doesn't hit, like, the important stuff, which is the creatures. So, I don't like relying on that too much. The Deprive is much better. There is no way that we're, like, beating Titans, though, in turn 3. Like, that's just not going to happen. The problem is, like, if you... No matter what we have in our main deck, like, yeah, we can't beat the Titan in turn 3s. We don't have enough pressure to even attempt to race it. Like, our interaction is limited to, like, Trickster and Brazen Borrower, and, like, that's not really doing anything. We're tying up our mana and not applying enough pressure to the board to really be relevant, so... It's just kind of like if they have a hand that turn 3 Titans and we just lose. We can sometimes, like, get them on turn 4 with an aggro plan, especially if they don't have, like, Amulet, but, like, the hands where they have Amulet and they just go off early, like, we're just fucked. So, whatever. They're really debating on how to do this, though. Alright, well, I would love to be on the play. We did not have a good starting hand that game either. That was kind of unfortunate. I think this hand's keepable. We're totally fine with this. Biomancer, Lord, Reejerey. They mulled to 6 too. And I think if they try to play Amulet, I will probably just force it with the Reejerey. Because Amulet is, you know, that opens up a lot of the turn 3 lines for them, and sometimes even like turn 2 lines. So we pretty much need to force Amulet, and otherwise we're just playing stuff and attacking them. Just drawing more blue cards would also be good. They're really debating over this mulligan to 6. Okay. What do you got? This looks like... Oh wait, Tribe Scout, fine. It's not perfect, but we'll live. I really want to draw another blue card. Because I don't want to have to pitch this Reejerey if I don't have to. Yeah, well, I do have to pitch it, so... Because they're just going to go absolutely insane if I don't. So here they can put a growth chamber in play, bounce the forest, and then just replay forest for the turn. It's rough, but it's what we gotta do here. We have to live with it. But forcing that, I think, was really important, because otherwise we could be in like a world of shit here. They like easily could just like blow us out the same way they did last game. Okay, so they can just put the forest back into play with the Tribe Scout. Okay, let's attack. We'll adapt the Biomancer, I think. Maximize our damage here. We can draw another Lord. That might help us here. I guess Chalice on 0 could potentially help. But we're not in a great spot. They copied the island? That's interesting. The rest of their hands might be kind of clunky. Without the amulet, like, they could be, like, really slow here. That'd be great. If they play, like, Dryad, then we still have 6 damage to attack with Island Walk, so I think they're dead in, like, 2 turns, but, well, that's unfortunate. Fuck me. Wow, their hand's just full of mana. Alright, what do we got? That's kind of good, actually. Alright. So that one's the newly controlled one, so we want to animate this one. Again, I don't think they're going to block. Well, they can only block the Lord, and if they do, I can just use Brazen Borrower to bounce something. They're going to lose Azusa if they do that, and I don't know if they can win without the Azusa next turn. I'm just going to single block. Okay, that's fine. So we might be okay here. So I can keep the Titan from attacking me at least. Because I can just Brazen Borrower and bounce it back to their hand. So if they just hardcast Primeval Titan, that's not enough. But we do have to be worried about them bouncing this Vesuva back. Yeah, transmute away. They got Summoner's Pact, nor Boreal Grazer. Does that do it? I don't think it does. We know they have Pact in hand. I think they're dead. So, what happens here? I just bounce Grazer and then they lose? I think they're just lost. And they still have the island in play, so yeah, I think they're fucked. We know what their hand is, so we have perfect information. They just die. Yeah, we have Island Walk, so okay, we stole that game. Okay, well, that's kind of how we had to do it. Like, forcing the amulet really mattered there. Oof. If we're on the draw, does the force have a little bit more value to it? Kind of does. I almost want to bring one of them back in. Here's another thing. You know what? Maybe I could take out... This is probably not a match where we're ramping up to Yorion. Maybe I could take out one Serum Powder here. Because we took out Master, so we're not getting up to 4 mana, so it's not that big a deal. But I think we take out one Serum Powder and we're probably okay. I'll bring the Force back in. Oh, I really want to keep this hand, but I can't. If I had one land, I would snap keep this. Not like this. Oh my god. If they're going to keep like 7 cards and we're going to have to mulligan and just get run over. Ugh. I don't know. Well, they didn't snap keep it, so... They mulled to 6. Okay, well, we have no choice but to mulligan. I think this hand is okay. They mulled to 5. We're going to keep this. What do we put on the bottom here? Probably the Cavern of Souls. This is not a match where counter magic really matters. You can play the Fairy Conclave in turn 3, it'll be fine. Because it is flying, so if they go for a line that involves them stabilizing with Field of the Dead, Conclave can push past that sometimes. So... This is not a great hand, for sure. This is weak, but they are on a mull to 5, so maybe they won't have it. I don't know. We just gotta play to our outs here, I guess. I think there's a reasonable chance I'm gonna adapt this Benthic on turn 2. Because I don't know if I want to... I don't know if I want to waste the Merfolk Trickster right away if we don't have like a lot of good stuff in hand. If I draw a Lord, that could change my mind, so... They put 2 cards in the bottom. Okay, they played Tribe Scout. That's good. That means I only have 3 cards left, so the chances that they're going to have like the same kind of hand is very low. Let's play this on 0 right now. Okay. Valakut. Their hand doesn't look terribly great. I think I'm adapting here. I'm probably going to discard one of these Brazen Borrowers. Yeah. I can play Trickster. Alright. I think the Dismember is going to matter a lot. So we need to be able to, like, dismember Dryad. Okay, well now we have to dismember, like, Azusa. Okay. So I guess attack first. See, yeah, I don't see them blocking here. Play the Conclave. Because next turn... I can play Trickster this turn and like attack with Conclave and have Dismember up next turn, so... Well, this could be just Titan. If it is Titan, though, like... We do have the potential to do... like, I don't know, maybe Trickster will be enough here. Okay. see what lands they get. So we know they have a Rot Farm in hand. Do we know what the other card is? I don't think we know what the last card is. Transmuting is not going to do anything here. Okay, well they're definitely going to give it haste, so... Okay. I'm not going to let them attack with it if I can help it. So no Veil of Summer, that's good. So here's a question. Not sure that letting the Titan attack me this turn is a good idea. So what's going to happen? Well, you know what? If they give it double strike, it's not actually the end of the world if I dismember it. Because it'll be 8, but it'll attack for 6 damage then. Alright, what's my clock look like? Not good. I can put them to 12, but that's not enough to actually win the game next turn. What if I cast Brazen Borrower? Then I want to have 9 damage in play next turn. Which means if I draw a Lord, that could theoretically do it, right? This would be 6, 9, 10, 11. No, that wouldn't even be good enough there. I don't know. I don't have a good plan for this. Bouncing this Titan does not seem like a great idea. But I don't know if letting it attack me is either. We might have to just take a hit off of it and just try to use this Dismember to stay alive. Oh, well, you know what? The Titan's going to start doing stupid Field of the Dead nonsense too. So these attacks are not going to be good for very long either. Which means maybe I do need to play the Brazen Borrower soon. Oh no, this is rough. None of these options are good. If I put them to 10, then it's like a 3-turn clock, maybe. It's just all these options are super losing. Alright. I think they do have the mana to just replay this next turn. They can start making Field of the Dead tokens. We're not in a much better spot. Especially if they have the Rot Form in hand still too. Yeah, I don't know. This is really rough. I'm just trying to imagine, like, if I mean, I could let it attack me, but it's just, it doesn't feel like that's a good plan. It's just gonna put blockers in, like, they're gonna have Field of the Dead tokens no matter what, so. Question is, how long can I survive? Maybe if I keep my life total high enough. Alright. We'll just attack with these. So if I just bounce it with Borrower, like, that's not great. Alright. But, alright, we're gonna just attack. Like this. This is not an easy decision. Yeah, alright. I might need to keep this in case they play Dryad, because if I don't dismember Dryad like on the spot, then I die. Probably return Forest, I imagine. No, they're just adding it. Oh my god, if they have another Titan, we are just dead. Oh my god, there's no way we could play around this. Like, this is insane. Oh my god. Insane. Turn 4, they have like double Primeval Titan. Or no, they're on turn 5. Okay, well, yeah, our hand was not great. But they mulled to 5, and this is still like what they're working with here. It's crazy. And now Field of the Dead is just going to take over the game, and there's like nothing we can do about it. I think that we're just dead here. Because they can give both Titans haste and we're fucked. Alright, well, we'll let them do it. Alright, well, for educational purposes, I will allow them to kill me. Just so you guys can understand how ridiculous this turn is going to be. There was no line I had that played around this, I think. So, it is what it is. Okay. Sure, I'll bounce it just to feel good about myself. But it doesn't matter, because, like, even if miraculously somehow I dealt with all the Titans, the Field of the Dead is just going to win. I have no way of beating that. You just get, like, another Field of the Dead and, like, yeah. Alright. I can't believe they naturally had 2 Titans. That's and yeah. Just look at this. They're gonna play another Titan. Like, none of this matters. All right, we're dead. So, I mean, Amulet's not a great match. We did steal a game, but like, they mulled to 5 and seemed to have like a really great hand. Like, they weren't stuck on like a pact or anything. So this Chalice didn't really. I mean, it works sometimes, but not when they just naturally have 2 Titans on mull to 5. So. And yeah, for game 1 we had like no chance of beating them, so it's a rough match, but I mean we tried. We had some interaction, but honestly, I I think that this version of this deck right now is probably on par with like the Summer Bloom version of the deck. It is just ridiculously stupid, and like a lot of it has to do with like this card, but then like this is also a huge problem. And I mean, no matter what, Titan itself is just like one of the most broken cards in Modern. I mean, I feel like inevitably something is going to get banned from this deck. I just don't know exactly what it is. I think if I had to pick something, probably Field is the most likely, because the Uro decks also seem to be playing this a lot too. And like, yeah, you should not be able to like combo in turn 3 and still have like an end game that's like undefeatable because of your lands. So I don't know, but that's just my opinion. I mean, opponent like obviously did a really good job with sequencing all this and killed us easily. So it is what it is. I'll see you again tomorrow. Please give this a thumbs up, and hopefully the rest of this will go a little bit better. So take it easy, everybody.